we have a professional architect in our midst today. Is a professional architect, Mr. MK. So today, our aim today is to see how we can actually help those who want to build, and they have challenge in selecting architect, the right architect. So reason why I'm bringing him is actually a professional architect. So we want to actually know what we need to look at before we select any architect for our building. So the question is this, Mr. MK, what is really the importance of having an architect while building?
Okay, thank you for having me. And there are a lot of reasons why you should have an architect, professional registered architect when you are designing. First of all, you need an architect to design, not just for the building. You need an architect that will help you bring your dream, all right, into paper, on paper. Then that dream is translated on the site. Okay, so first of all, the only person that is authorized by law to be able to design buildings for any kind of client in Nigeria is the architect, right? He's the person that is authorized by law to do those designs. And after those designs are done, he's the only person that can help you do proper designs that will be properly documented and submitted for approval to the authorities in your location, okay? The architect has to do it. The architect is the leader of the building industry, as far as buildings, houses, structures, building structures are concerned. So you need the architect to help you bring your dream on paper. You need the architect to be able to sign and stamp on your documents so that you can take them for submission. And even when you're doing the construction, you need the architect to also help you bring the dream to reality. He's the person that designed the building. He's the person that understands the lines on the drawing, and he's the best person to be able to interpret and help you get everything done properly. So that's basically the role of the architect and how he brings his skill to the clients.
So basically, if I get it right, you are saying that an architect helps to draw the house in the layman language, help to draw your house.
Well, yeah, you can say draw, but usually it's not just draw, because that's where some people get it wrong. There are a lot of things that come with putting the lines on the paper, because if you just draw anything, anybody can draw, a baby can draw, anybody can draw a house. But drawing is not just what it is. There are many things there. There are many things the architect considers, and a lot of people are not trained properly to be able to know what to consider. Our foreparents used to just use their legs to draw on land, and they would dig those spaces up, and they have a house. But those things were very inefficient. There are many things that they do not do well. You can go to a house, you see it's not ventilated, you see that the house is dark. You can obviously know it was not an architect who designed it. Okay, so it's not just about drawing something on paper, all right? It is called a design because there are a lot of things you need to consider. You have to consider ventilation. You have to consider things we call setbacks, okay, in the design. We need to consider other things like the requirements of the approval authorities, lighting, ventilation, and all of that. So the architect is the one that is trained to be able to consider these things properly and interpret them in paper as sketches, designs, and all of that. So it's not just drawing. There's a lot that goes into it to make it come out for you to be able to approve, for you to be able to get it approved, and for you to also be able to construct it and live in it and be happy with what you have.
Okay, if I get you right, what you're saying, if an architect do not draw your house, it will not be approved. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, most likely, because the person who is doing it will not do it properly. The people at the approval, at the authorities or approval office or however it's called, will be able to, they will always look through your plans to know if you have done the proper thing. We have architects that are manning those offices. So if you send a design that is not properly ventilated, properly designed, they'll be able to tell you, this thing has a problem, and they will return your designs. Okay, because the thing is, before you go out to do a construction, you need to have properly submitted your designs to be properly approved. So it's not just draw and build. You have to do the design, then you not get the design into drawings that people can interpret, and then you get approval for it, and then you take it to the site and you build it out. Okay, so those are the different steps. And it's only the architect that will be able to do those steps properly. That's just the basic truth about it.
Okay. Is there a difference between building plan, architectural drawing, and structural drawing? Is there a difference between those three?
The building plans and architectural drawings are the same. Okay, they are just interchangeable, because the building plan, you can say the building plan for the architect, all right? Then, but the structural drawing is done by the engineer. The architect does not design structural drawings. And structural drawings are usually for mostly story buildings. Okay, we have structural drawings mostly for story buildings. The building will have to stand because of the structure. So when you're designing something like a first floor, second floor, or anything higher, you need to get the architect involved. You need to have the engineer involved. But the architect will need to finish the job first before the engineer will also do his own job. And there are many engineers in the building industry. We have the mechanical engineer, we have the electrical engineer, right? But for your house to stand and not fall, the structural engineer has to get involved in the design of your building.
Okay, okay, I guess.
If it is a bungalow, the architect will only just design, and the engineer will also design his own. The structural, the mechanical engineer also design his own. The structural engineer starts his work when when the design is a story and above, especially if it is a story and above, especially for residential buildings. Of course, there are times where you might still need structural engineers for one-story building, for ground floor buildings that are not usually residential buildings, maybe for some other kind of constructions that may need the services of a structural engineer. But if you're talking about residential design, like a bungalow, you may not really need the services of a structural engineer, but you will need the services of an electrical engineer and mechanical engineer. But for every story building, you will need the services of a structural engineers. And those two designs are different. They have different approvals and different experts who are involved in producing those documents.
Okay, let me ask you this very simple question. I think which will be the title of this particular video. How do we choose an architect for our building or for our project? How do we choose? What do we look for while choosing an architect? Can we just go, okay, just see an advert, okay, I mean, I can do this, and you just choose them? What do you look for while choosing an architect for your building?
The most important thing you need to find out is to know if the person is duly registered, all right? Because there are people who can call themselves builders, architects, and they're not fully registered to be able to offer those services, right? You want to work with somebody who is fully registered, who you can ask, do you have full registration? Can I see your registration? And then you'll be able to find out. Of course, in our profession, you're not, it's not ethical to do adverts, all right? So maybe you're going to know an architect from an architect before, or maybe you meet the person, or maybe two other means. We are not ethically allowed to do adverts on TV and all of that. So, but whosoever you meet, ask them, have they been properly trained? Have you been registered? All right. When you ask that question, they'll be able to, it should be able to guide you about, okay, this person should be able to handle my design and all of that. So that should be the first thing. Now, the next thing you can also find out is what is the experience level of the person, all right? You need to work with somebody that has a good experience, a number of years. Now, this also depends on the kind of design you want done, okay? Because experience comes with time, and with experience, you'll be able to get a good job, all right? So, but the most important thing is make sure you work with real professionals. Don't just meet somebody who says, I can design, I can build, and the person does something and you live to regret it. The thing about buildings is that if you use the wrong people to build or design and build your house, you are going to live there for a long time, and the inconvenience will be there with you for life. The only way around it is to renovate and change, and that will cost you money. So it's better to work with professionals that will give you what you want. A lot of people complain that the architects are expensive and all of those excuses. Every professional will not be cheap. Okay, so it's up to you. Do you want to work with somebody who will design a house that you'll be uncomfortable in, or you pay a little bit more and get the best and get a house that you can be proud of and you can live in without stress? Because imagine living in a house and you don't have proper ventilation, or the house is dark, all right, because of how the person designed it for a long time, and you will always complain and complain and complain. So you pay a little bit more, get the proper thing done so that you can live in your house and you are happy with it. So that's basically what you need to know about picking the right architect.
Okay, you make reference to something very important. You said some people will tell you that to hire an architect is expensive, but I will not ask you how much is it to hire an architect, but I will ask, what are the range from X naira to X naira? What are the range? It can range from this to at least, so that you can have an idea of the cost it will want to have an architect.
There's really no range. The proper thing is that it's supposed to be a percentage of the cost of the construction, the cost of the building, right? They usually, by law, there is a stipulated percentage that architects are supposed to charge, okay? And there are 3 stages. We are supposed to charge for the design stage, we are supposed to charge for the construction stage, and a few other stages. But unfortunately, in Nigeria, a lot of people are not able to follow that, that percentage, all right? It's supposed to be calculated from the total cost of the building. Take, for example, if a building is 10 million, all right? And the very first stage is the design. An architect is supposed to get a percentage of that, 7.5% or something in that range. So if we were to do the proper calculation and do it right, the architect should get from 7.5% to 10% of the building cost. But unfortunately, most clients cannot pay that. So what is the other way that we do it? Well, it also depends on who you're working with. Okay, there's really no range. But you need to remember that when you are charging, when an architect is charging you, there are many things that he is charging for, all right? Apart from his experience and his skill, some of the monies will be paid to the association, all right? So not all the monies that you pay to an architect is the profit of the architect. Some of the monies have to be taken there to buy the building stamp that is going to use on your design, and some monies will be paid to the association, okay? So if you want to get everything approved for your design, depending on the location, I don't know, it could be different in different locations in Nigeria. The architect has to charge you, if you want to get everything properly done, stamped, ready for approval, the architect is going to charge you those different fees and put them all together and charge you. So for a bungalow could be between 100K to 500K, depending on who and the kind of bungalow. There are bungalows that are very massive and very, very awesome and very beautiful. Maybe a 6-bedroom bungalow with a lot of beautiful stuff. You can charge as much as you want. A smaller bungalow, maybe like from 100K up. It's really not, they really no exact range. But of course, the bigger the house, the higher you go, the more you're going to be charged for it. Okay, I know that I've not really answered the question exactly, but it gives you an idea of how the architect charge and what goes into some of those ideas for charging what seems to be high, right? So those are the nitty-gritty.
So if I get you to recap what you just said, getting an experienced architect goes a long way while you are building, while you are building, right? So what you're saying that all these newly all these graduates who just finished cannot just come and tell you that, okay, I'm an architect. I just graduated. So we shouldn't give those kind of people jobs. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what usually happens. People who just step out of school usually work with other architects. So what they normally do is they can get a job and work with some other architect, right? Of course, when I left school, I did some jobs too, but I did it under a firm. I did it working with some other architects who have some more experience. So of course, everybody should get. We even have IT students who are also good at doing designs and stuff, but they will be supervised by other architects, all right, other registered experienced architects. So if you ever decide you want to work with a fresh graduate, or make sure that the person is working with somebody who's more experienced that can guide the person. Maybe the person is working with a firm, all right? That could be another consideration. But of course, even fresh graduates can do a good job, but there need to be some kind of supervision from somebody higher who is able to say, okay, this is what you do. So I'm not saying don't give architectural designs to upcoming, but you need to find out if they have a covering, if they have somebody who can, look at their designs and confirm that everything is okay.
Can you give a first-time home builder, someone that want to build his or her house for the first time, what advice can you give to that person as your closing remark?
Okay, if you want to build your house for the very first time, all right, so I want to assume that you mean they have gotten the land and they don't have the design yet, or do they have the design already and they want to build, or they don't have the design yet?
No design, just they've gotten the land and they want to build.
Okay, if you have the land and you want to start, you can't start building. That's the point. You need to first hire the right people. First of all, get an architect who knows the job and has some experience. Let him know what you want, and he'll be able to advise you what can fit into your land, what it will cost, and all of those things. All right. When you are done, most architects also have other professionals that they work with, the electrical engineer, the structural engineer, depending on what you want to work with. So sometimes the architect can get everything and prepare everything for you because he has partners, colleagues in other professions that can also get him to get the job done. So if you do that, that will save you a lot of time. So you make sure you get a registered, experienced architect to advise you on what to do so that you can get proper documentation, proper advice before you embark on your building projects. Immediately you get those documents prepared, find out how you can submit them for approval. And then when you have done that and you have been approved, you can now think about building. Don't just go get anybody to build. Or somebody says, I've been building for 4 years. Don't worry, I'll handle it. And it does a bad design for you. And at the end, you don't enjoy your house. So get the right professionals, get them to advise you on what to do, and pay, because when you pay, you get quality service. I know that might be sound somehow, but that's the truth. Pay for quality service. Somebody who spent a number of years in school studying one thing and came out doing the same thing cannot be compared to somebody who just came out from somewhere and says, I can do it, right? So get the right professionals so that you don't have problems when you live in your house in peace and enjoy your house. And then that's basically it.
Wow, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for coming here to share your experience and your thoughts. I appreciate you. And I believe for those of you who are watching this video now, you agree with me that you are invested time so that you can learn something important. So thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. And once again, my name is Dennis Isom. And remember, anytime you want to get the property, remember to call me. I'm here to help you out, to give you the best kind of property that you need, especially in Lagos. So once again, thank you, Mr. MK. I'm going to invite some other time to come and share more. I know there are still some other things which you believe we should know. I will invite you and we are going to go. Once again, thank you for your time. And please subscribe to this channel so that we can move our ministry forward. So thank you very much for your time, Mr. MK.
All right, thank you. Nice to be here. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
I can help you get a genuine land in Lagos, Nigeria. that will appreciate very fast and also prevent you from falling into land scam or land fraud. Contact me now.